Hey everyone, it's Undead Viking. I'm here again with another video review of a board game. The board game in question today is a game called Westerly. Westerly is a game that is like in Kickstarter right now, or very shortly will be in Kickstarter. It is a game that is a cooperative game, a little lighthearted, as you can kind of see by the art on the front page, kind of cartoony. That is a cooperative game that is about, well, it's kind of like Oregon Trail, if you remember the game that I'm sure you played as a kid. It's about a group of people that put together a wagon, and they get some supplies and some oxen, and they head west, and they're trying to make it to California. You start off at like a fort, just like, well, anyway, like Oregon Trail, and then you start moving slowly to the west. And the whole idea is that you're trying to move 20 spaces to the west, but it isn't as easy as you think, because you have lots of crazy encounters and things like that, and people that are in your party will be killed, but you don't get eliminated. You get to actually have another character, and come back. You'll have to cross rivers. You'll have to fight wolves, deal with illnesses, things like that, that you would kind of expect to run into, as far as like, if you actually had done this, if you actually had traveled to the west. I'm going to show you how to play the game. Like I said, I said lighthearted a little bit ago, and I wouldn't really say the game is lighthearted per se, because it is kind of grim, but it's kind of a gallows humor in a lot of situations, and it's a lot of fun actually. But let me show you how to play, and then we'll come back, and then we'll have me talk to you about what I exactly think of Westerly, and then hopefully, if you're interested, you'll go ahead and back the game on Kickstarter so the game can get published, and then you can get a copy. Alright, well, alright, here we go. Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you how to play Westerly, and to start off with, I'm just going to just point out some of the components that you see in front of here. This is your wagon, and you can see that on each one of these pawns there's a number, and that's like, so when something happens to something in the wagon, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to roll a die, and you can say, oh, it happens to this guy, like number 4. That's how the wagon works. There's a lot more to that. I'll explain just a little bit, but just so you know. In this case, you can see I have a full team of 6 oxen. You get these cute little cow meeples to represent those. I should mention that obviously, since this is a prototype version of the game for this Kickstarter video, I can't guarantee that everything you see in front of you right now will be exactly the same when the actual published version of it comes out. But this is a very high-level prototype, so I can only assume that it's going to look a lot like what you see in front of you right now. There are several different decks of cards, as you can see up here. There's a character deck, which you'll be drawing your first characters. This is a cooperative game, and there isn't any player elimination, but your character can die. And when your character dies, and when the party gets to like the next settlement, it's kind of randomly drawn out of this big tile bag here. But if you reach another settlement, then you basically hire somebody else to join your wagon train. However, you don't. The starting characters, and I'll show this to you in just a moment, they're really good. I mean, they have a lot of different abilities, a lot of different stats. But your next people that you grab won't be as good. And I think that's kind of like one of those things to prevent players from, if something bad happens to their main character, they don't just kill them off to get another one. Because the people that you get later, 1, you have to wait until you reach a settlement to get them. But 2, you have to kind of make it so it isn't an attractive option, I guess. You can't game the game. So you actually have these cards that are characters that have a burden, meaning that there's something wrong with them, and then there's these other characters that eventually, after you die too many times, you get like double burden characters, which they're nearly worthless to the party, but you get to keep playing at least, right? And they're pretty amusing too. And I'll show you some of those here in just a little bit. But anyway, there are, like I said, several different deck cards. There's an item deck that you can purchase items when you get into different settlements. Thankfully, this is the only part of the game that actually has these little tiny cards that I know if you've watched any of my videos, you know I don't really like the little tiny cards. But other than that, these are larger cards. You can see north, south, west. Those are the encounter decks that you'll be drawing when you go north on the road. You're going to draw one of these, south on the road, and west on the road. Pretty obvious, right? Settlement, obviously, you're going to draw one of those when you reach a settlement, and pretty obvious as well. And then river, when you run into a river, oh, surprise, surprise, you're going to draw a river card. All right, so to start the game, however many players you have, I'm just have 6 players here. Each person gets 2 character cards, and they don't show them to anybody. And one person is picked as the person who's in charge of the wagon train. In this case, it's just the green player because they're in spot number 1. It's important to note that if anybody ever dies in the party, like if this person were to die, everyone else moves up a spot. So 4 would go to 3, 5 would go to 4, and so on and so forth. And when you get a burden character, they retake the last spot that's in the wagon. But anyway, so you have your person. This is me, and the person who's going to be the wagon leader. They draw 2 cards just like everybody else, but they don't have to actually reveal the 2 which character they're going to take until the other players all reveal their character. The reason for that is basically they can choose somebody that maybe will fill a gap that the party has. So like, here's, like I said, there's tons of these characters, and all of them, like, the cook, here's a desperado, ranger, and so the doctor. Like, let's say, like, you don't have anybody that can heal in the party. And so when it gets back to the green player, maybe if he had the doctor as option, he'll take a doctor then, so you can fill a gap. Things like that. But anyway, let's just pick one here. We'll pick Mr. Stover. He's the rancher, and it comes with some cool little flavor text. You should always read that out loud. They always have a like a special ability. Like this guy says, he can use 1 tool to adjust the reputation slider 1 space in either direction. I'll explain the reputation slider in just a little bit. They have all these different stats over here. Constitution is basically your health, and it determines how many rerolls you get. So the higher the Constitution, the better. Then grit, gumption, learning, and pioneering. And what those are the different stats that your character will have, and they will determine the number of dice you get to roll when you're attempting that thing. So Mr. Stover here, if he was using grit, we get 3 dice. And with gumption, you get 4, and then 1 and 2. Pretty straightforward, right? So anyway, we'll just go ahead and put Mr. Stover there. And we'll take our Constitution marker. He has a 3 Constitution, so we'll place that right there. And as I said, that's the number of rerolls you get, not how many dice you get. So if he was rolling, his gumption trait, which is 4, he would be taking, 4 dice, and he'd be rolling them to see if he succeeds. It should I'm throwing out this rule real quick. Try to remember it. When you are attempting to succeed, if you're heading on a west encounter deck, you are trying to roll a 5 or a 6. On a south or north encounter deck, you're trying to roll just a 6. And so you get to save, obviously, your dice that succeed. Now the interesting thing is that, like lots of games, like if 4 dice is just 4 dice, you just get to roll those 4 dice. So like you roll these 4 dice, and let me just pretend like I was heading west and I got 2, 5, 6s. And let's say the attempt was I needed 5 dice. You'd be saying, well, you can't get 5 dice on Dead Viking, he's only got 4. Well, with this game, you actually get to add back up to your maximum and get to roll those again. So, because he gets 3 rerolls. So you roll again, and there, look, say I got enough successes and I would succeed at that. Kind of a neat thing. I never really had encountered that in a game before. But regardless, but you don't get to just keep rolling tons and tons of dice all the time, because as your character gets used, they do run out of points until they can get to the next settlement, which will replenish them. And what you do is you double the number. So like his grit is 3. So you take these little sliders and then you put that on like a 6, His gumption is 4, so then he'd be at an 8. And learning is 1. Okay, so he's dumb, but he's a rancher. Wouldn't he be smart? I don't know. Learning is 2, and then pioneering is that would be a 4. Now, in that case, like I said, like I rolled my gumption, I was rolling 4 dice. When you decide I'm going to roll 4 dice, you actually deduct that from your total that you have available. Once you run out of gumption, or any other stat for that matter, you can't roll that until you make it to a settlement to replenish. So sometimes, if it's like an easy thing, you'd say, well, you know, I do get 4 dice with gumption, but you know, I'm only going to use 2 or something like that. So you do have those options. A couple of things you'll see in front of you here. These are the character deaths. Since you're going to be changing the character, you just do that simply. First death is a B, meaning a 1 burden character replacement. Next one is another 1 burden character replacement, and then double B, double burden character replacement. And so you end up kind of getting worse and worse. Finally, this little figure here, pretty straightforward. It's just the damage you take. And as you take damage, you move these little red bars and show that you've taken damage in different areas of your body. Head, legs, arms, legs, torso, and you take that damage. And what happens is that also as you get injured, you lose points of constitution, and things can get injured, which means that once you can get them fixed, you're just fine, your constitution goes back to normal. If they get broke, which is the next level, you can't get that fixed basically until you get to a settlement, and then maybe even then it doesn't even count because it's just you're maimed or what have you. And so then that also costs you a constitution. Note that you can have an injury on every single part of your body, but you still only lose 1 constitution. And finally, the last one is TCO, which stands for torn clear off. So that'll happen sometimes where like a part of your body will just get torn clear off, and that obviously is funny. I guess I should say it's funny, but you know what I mean. It's kind of hilarious when it happens to someone that isn't you, and then there's obviously detrimental effects when that occurs. You notice that the head only has an injured spot. That means your head can only get injured if it ever gets broken or torn clear off, obviously, in those situations. Well, broken, maybe it wouldn't be so obvious, but torn clear off, you're dead. If it gets broken, you're dead. There's 2 spots for items. Every person can have 2 items, so if you buy an item, like this is a 10-gallon hat. Items are pretty straightforward. They usually just add something to your stat. Note, this will never change where your slider bar goes, but it does change the number of dice that you get to roll. So if he had the 10-gallon hat, he'd have +1 gumption, and so like you could just place that right there. When you die, your items can be distributed amongst everybody else. They just scavenge your body for those items. Then the other thing that you have to do, you know, obviously you have 2 items, but if you ever get another item, you can't ever like kind of save them. You basically have to discard them, or you know, and then replace it with something else if you so desire. Pretty straightforward. The character boards are, but you know, fully functional, and they're pretty cool. So each person then, like I said, picks a character, and then you can also see on the character, I should mention that. Remember I said there was that special ability that is down there? He needs, this is the item, like a little like supply that he needs to be able to do it. So you costs one of these tool supplies to do it. And he also starts with 12 bucks. So, and that money can be, at the very beginning of the game when you buy your starting supplies, it can be pooled together with everybody. You can buy stuff for yourself. You can buy stuff as a group. It's pretty straightforward. So, alright, so now hopefully everybody's picked a character, everybody knows who they're going to play, and we can go on. Like as I said, you'll be outfitting your wagon and doing that. Let's talk about that now. And here is your wagon, as I said. You notice, like I said, I put a person in each one of these spots. The way you determine the spot is, like I said, the wagon train leader starts there, and then clockwise around the table, each person then fleshes out the spot. As I said, that each character does have money to start with. You'll need to spend that money to outfit your crew, if you will. At the very beginning, here's your starting town general supply. You can buy a supply for $1. You get 3 food for $1 in the starting town, and a yoke of oxen for $5. So in this case, like I spent $15 for a full set of oxen, which is very important because they don't make you move faster, but when you draw tiles out of the tile bag, you get to draw more than just one tile. And so then you can have several different options available to you. Items are these little hexagons here. And like, you know, food obviously is the ham. You know, you can see that there's some medicine and bullets. Here, like, yeah, let me find the bullets here. Yeah, there you go. Bullets. And like the top hat is your Sunday best. I don't know, some people just need nice clothes or whatever. But so tools, bullets, medicine, books, Sunday best, and food is the different options. And each spot can have a certain number of supplies. And, well, I shouldn't say a certain number. Each spot can have one type of supply, but any number of said supply. So, you know, you could have, and you have to pick where each one goes. Obviously, you're going to have tons of food. I'm not going to put all these down because they're kind of fiddly, if you will. But, you know, so like you could have, you know, you just pick which spot. And it's all kind of luck because there's certain things will just do damage to the wagon. And then it'll say the supply at spot number 4, you know, will take, you know, you'll lose a certain number of those supplies. And so if 4 happens to be your food, well, that kind of stinks. If 4 happens to be your bullets or whatever, you're going to lose certain aspects. And like later on, like as I said, like the different characters, you know, like here's our guy here. He can only do his like special action is if he's able to go ahead and have a tool available. So if you don't have any tools, you can't do anything. And other things will need those things well. But obviously food is like the most important thing. You want tons and tons and tons of food usually because it's easy to lose it, and if you need it basically to live, obviously. Because each time you move, it costs 1 food. And if you ever run out of food, then everybody starts dying by losing a point of constitution each time you move without food. And if you ever die, however, and here's the grim cannibal thing, if a person ever dies, they basically supply food equal to their constitution to everyone else. So there you go. Yes, if you're wondering if you can have a Donner Party incident in this game, you definitely can. So that's how the wagon works. It's like I said, it's pretty straightforward, and but you know, like it even kind of looks cool. If I had to say so myself, I think it just kind of looks, and it's a nice way to like keep track of everything, and it's very, very functional. So when you make your way out west, so then okay, you bought everything, everybody's got their stuff. Oh, I should say, I apologize. You can buy items as well, as I mentioned. Remember the items. It's a little bit different though, because you spend $3 at the beginning of town, and you get to draw 2 items, and you get to pick one. And so, like in this case, like you could pick between the bullwhip and the 6-gun. And so you have to pick which one you wanted, and then you get to equip that. So it's kind of, you know, a crapshoot, if you will, as far as whether or not you get an item that really helps you. But remember, you can always kind of trade them between you and the other players as well. So there you go. But finally, you're getting ready to move out and head out west. And so what you'll do is, so west, you start here, and you move that way. And if I actually played out the entire game in front of you, I would run out of room, because the way you travel is very haphazard. But remember, I have the 3 sets of oxen, so that means I get to draw 3 tiles. And the nice thing about when I get to draw the 3 tiles is I get to pick one to place, and then I get to keep one to use it for an emergency later. So if I draw a bunch of stuff I don't like, I got that extra tile sitting there, and I can say, well, we're not going to use that one, but we're going to use this. So in this case, I'll draw my 3 tiles, and we'll see what we got here. Well, I have a road that will either take us north or south, our choice. A road that will take us south, Because remember, you're always heading this way. You can't like ever, you know. So if like, let me put it this way. So like if this one was there and you drew this one, you wouldn't go back. You'd go like that. Good. And I drew a settlement. Well, I don't need a settlement right now, but this is a really good tile to have, right? So we'll just, I want to have a choice, so I'm going to take these two, and I'm going to put this one back in the bag. Get kind of lucky there. So I'm going to keep the settlement tile for later, and we'll just go ahead and place that like so. So now we're right there, and because we've moved, and we move west, we will draw a card. And we'll see what the card tells us. And so the card says, it is the guardian spirit of the woods. And it's mystical. And that's a cool little drawing there. And I'm going to read it's a darn chilly night out here in the wilderness. Your manliest party member goes to chop down some wood when he's stopped by some ancient ghost thing with an animal head, who forbids you from sinking your axe into his sacred trees. If you obey, everyone in the group will lose 1 constitution from the code until you warm up in the next town, so until you make the next settlement. Unless you give him an offering of 4 food. If you're feeling extra manly, though, you could try to fight him. Then you can take all that stuff he's got and burn just about as many trees as you want. So, this is a card that offers you with a choice. And you see this little symbol right here? That means this person is neutral. You can either do something beneficial, like kind to him, by giving him 4 food, and then like you can avoid the loss of 1 constitution, or you could just say, no, I'm gonna fight him, and then we're gonna see if we can possibly defeat him. Now, if you defeat him, look, you get $8, and you would get an items. It says items 6/4. What that means is that you would draw 6 cards from the item deck, and you would get 4 of them. And as I said before, since we went, these tests you are going to roll. You either need a 5s and 6s because we're going west, because we did not go north or south. So, and if you look here at the different stats, you have each of these different things that it affects. So, like you could roll pioneering, which means you'd need 4 successes. The learning, the little apple and the ruler, you need 5. With the grit, you would need 4, and for gumption, it has an X, meaning you can't use gumption to defeat it. So like those are my successes. So let me quick show you like another character. Let's just say there's another character in the party who, the professor was at the party, and he says, you know what? I'm going to go try, and I'm going to defeat him with my 5 learning. So, Dr. Cornelius Bennett III. And so, if you use learning, though, you need 5 successes. But he's got a constitution of 3, so he gets 3 rerolls. And he's going to use all 5 of his dice to see if he can do it. So he'd go and he'd roll, like so. Not a great start. But we'll roll again. Better. Oh, we got this in the bag, don't we? Just need 1 more success. Ah, I didn't get it. All right, so we didn't get it, which is good. Because you knew what would happen if I lost, because I would just get this money and those items. But since we lost, it's going to harm a person. Now, if there was a barrel in here, it would be harming supplies. But in this case, we're harming a person that's out there. Now, you might think, just because it was Dr. Cornelius Bennett who tried to defeat the guardian spirit, that he would be the one that would be then hurt by this mystical spirit. However, that is not the case. So, you will roll a die, and you will find out who the guardian spirit decided it was going to attack. And so, number 2. So, it would be player number 2. And since they are attacking a player, well, first of all, if it was items, you roll a number, like as I said, and then you roll another die to determine how many of those items you lose. But since they are attacking a player, what they'll do is they'll first roll 1 die, and that'll tell you what gets hit. and that's a 3. So 3 is a left arm. But it goes 1 head, 2 right arm, 3 left arm, 4 right leg, 5 left leg, and 6 is pride. I said torso before, but it's actually 6 is your pride, which I think is hilarious because it's like, oh, you hurt my pride. But anyway, so this is the left arm, and then so you roll another die. And this is going to determine how badly damaged that arm is. In this case, I rolled a 3, and that means it is broke. On a 1, it's tore clear off, and on a 4 through 6, it is hurt. But on a 2 or 3, it is broke. Now, so what can happen, and what happens a lot, is the player goes out and he tries to defeat this. I got this. And then you go and you try to defeat that whatever it is. And you fail utterly. And then somebody that had nothing to do with the entire situation, and maybe they even argued saying, no, we shouldn't do this. Because remember, this is a cooperative game, and you'll have arguments and what have you to make decisions. And they'll get their arm broken they'll end up cursing you for their bad luck for that particular situation. But that's how an encounter works. Now, it should be noted that if you defeat an encounter, you go ahead and you take that card and you take it out of the deck. But in this case, you will take it and you'll reshuffle it back into the encounter deck. So you can actually run into that ghost creature again. And so, because we moved, we will deduct a food, and then we'll like kind of check everybody out and make sure we'll all laugh about what just happened, and then we'll repeat the process. And we'll reach into the magical bag, and we'll draw out the 3 things again, and hopefully and you can lose oxen as you're playing the game, and that happens fairly often actually. And when you lose an oxen, you don't get to draw the tiles again. So we draw the tiles again, and I got a river, and which is good because I'm going to show you how the rivers work. I'm not going to use this one, but I'm going to show you how rivers work. And we have cards, and so we can decide which way we want to go. So you can say, okay, we'll head north. So we're eventually going to head back that way. We'll draw a north encounter card, and oh, sure enough, oxpox, illness. You probably caught this from the oxen, though I'm not exactly sure how. It's only transmitted orally. Roll to see who is sick, in more ways than one. This also means the oxen are now sick, and unfortunately medicine doesn't work on them from now on until you reach the next settlement. You can only draw 1 tile each turn, and if it can't be played, you'll have to stay there and spend a food until you get one you can use. Oh, that reminds me. If you ever run into a situation where you feel like if you had to go in a certain direction, it would basically kill you, you can always backtrack. It just costs food to go back if you want to go somewhere else. Or you can blaze a trail, which means you can just go west anyway, but that carries with it its own mess of problems and food and so on. But if that does ever happen, you do have that option. But you can see here it's an illness, and then you would have to roll against that illness. And remember, your ox are sick and they can't do it. Illnesses really stink because each time you move, they're basically hurting the players, and if they're sick. And if you get an illness and you don't have a doctor that can heal you, they're kind of a death sentence in more ways than one. And so you always want to try to avoid these as much as possible. But luckily, doctors and stuff, and people with medicinal abilities get bonuses against these, which is very useful. You can also get miraculous cures, because when you move, you'll roll a die, and a 1 will kill you, but a 6 means you just get better. So you roll each time you turn, and then if you don't get a 1 or a 6, nothing. You still suffer the penalty of being sick as you go each time, but you don't automatically die. So you kind of hope you just roll a 6 with that. But I was going to show you the rivers, and river is actually a little bit more complex because of so let's say for whatever reason you pick the river, and now you're going to be trying to cross the river in this situation. So what happens is you'll draw a river card. The river card will tell you that how deep the water is and how wide the river is. Rogers Waters, for those Pink Floyd fans of you out there. You probably get the joke, right? You get the joke? Yeah? Okay. So Rogers Waters, it's 13 feet deep and 300 feet wide. This is where the fun dexterity portion of the game comes in. I don't have a lot of room here, so just bear with me. The first thing you do is you'll roll to see how rapid the water is moving. So you roll a die, and in this case, a higher is better. So luckily I didn't roll a 1 or 2, so I don't have rapids, but I do have a swift river. And so that means when I'm going to be throwing my dice, I'm going to try to make it within this circle here. Rapids also counts. Calm would have been obviously been much better. And as it says, it is 13 feet deep and 300 feet wide. So it's 13 feet deep. So this is going to be a little tricky here. I apologize. Let's move these cards out of the way. So we move that there. Put this here. So you're going to make a little game board like so. And what you're going to be trying to do is, and notice that this thing goes all the way up to like 30 plus feet over here. And so you're going to, what you have to do is you have to roll dice. And each person, when you're rolling the dice, you have to, because it's 13 feet, the dice have to hit here and land in there. And I'm really bad at this, so just bear with me here. See, like I said, I'm really bad at this portion of the game. I've never really done well when it comes to crossing the river. But in order to succeed, you use any stat pool they want. So if you have something with 5 in a stat, you can use 5 dice. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them into that portion. And to be able to cross the river, you have to total, everybody in the party has to total the number of the feet that it's wide, taking the total number of dice that are in the middle, like so, and take that number times 10, and then that's how far you would get. So in this situation, because it's 300 feet, you need a ton of good rolls. Would that even be enough? 10, 22, no, it wouldn't, 27. It's like that. That would be enough. Now, you don't ever take the dice off, so if somebody rolls, they can, well, here, I'm horrible at this, like I said. They can knock all the dice off. And crossing rivers takes a, it's difficult, let's just say. And more than once, when I played the game, have we just kind of abandoned trying to cross the river and left and gone a different way. It's because it's just been easier. If the river is ever if you get like a rapids river and you don't want to try for that, you can just wait and use up a food, and then you can roll another die again, and hopefully oh yeah, there you go, I got calm. And so then the next time you go, you'll have a better shot. You have that option available to you. And so you try to that's how you would cross a river. And this is fun, trust me, but trust me, when you are forced to try to cross a river, there's usually an audible groan from everybody at the table, because it's not, at least for our group, we haven't been very successful with crossing the river. Though when we have, we've definitely cheered pretty loudly when we were able to pull it off. Now, if you fail to cross the river, that's bad, because not only do you lose half of your food, it just gets washed away. One unlucky soul has to take what's called catastrophic damage. In this case, it would be play number 3. You roll that randomly, and then for catastrophic damage, what that person then does is they roll 1 die to see how many different body parts are injured, and then so here, let's see what I get here. 5. Most likely going to kill somebody. But then you would roll 5 dice, like so, and you re-roll anything. So I have a 3, 2, 4, 5, and so then you gotta roll again. You just keep rolling until you have, in this case, I need a 1 or a 6. There you go. So, and then you roll for the damage for each one of those locations. This usually kills somebody unless they get really lucky. But nobody ever said the game of Westerly was kind to you. And as what often happens, the person that argued the most against crossing the river is usually the person that gets thrown into the water and ends up drowning. So, which is, you know, of course, just how the game, I'm guessing, is supposed to work. There's a couple other things I wanted to show you before I tell you what I think of the game. Settlements. When you reach a settlement, you just turn it over. The settlement will have different things on them. West Easterton has something that tells you how much the supplies cost, what drawing items cost, and also like it has a symbol. Like this means there's a hospital in that location, which means it's obviously good for healing people. And if you get one that has the little dice in the bottom, that means that there is gambling at that location. Gambling is done very simple. One person rolls, and you're just trying to make. You roll the dice once like this, and you try to make a poker hand. So, like in this case, it's like 2 3s and 2 6s. You can say that person has 2 pair, and then another player just rolls against that, and so they look at what they got. So 2 4s and 2 1s. So like the player who rolled would win, and they're able to wager part of the party's money for that roll. If the rest of the party says no, we're not going to gamble, then you don't gamble. However, some characters will have a symbol on them. Let me find one real quick here. There we go. Like this guy, Bjorn here. And Bjorn has this symbol down here, PG. That means he has a penchant for gambling, which means he can choose to gamble whether or not the rest of the party allows him to. He can just say, I'm going to gamble, and everybody says, no, don't gamble. He can say, screw you, I'm gambling. And so then they can roll when there's the casino in that settlement. And that's how the settlements work. Let me see. I was going to show you a couple of... I just wanted to show you, like, remember the other people are pretty able-bodied. The people that have burdens, they aren't as able-bodied. You notice some of the stats over here are lower. And they have people like Lady Gertrude Farnsworth. She can, obviously she just, isn't as good. 0 pioneering, 0 gumption. But they do have some things where, like, they can spend 1 Sunday best to double the money collected from any one human opponent. So, like, there are certain things that they can bring to the table that actually are fairly helpful. And so they're kind of neat. And and of course, if you're wondering whether or not there was a woman of questionable morals, well, there you go. But these people, the burdens, these are hilarious. The Marion Quarry, who's the drunk, the person who's dying of leprosy, a baby, and a guy who's an arsonist. So you can see, like, there's definitely, like, these people are horrible. They're hardly helpful, but at least you get to keep playing, and they definitely add a lot of laughs to the game. So the game continues, and I apologize, I'm kind of a mess here, but you'll be building your way west, and eventually, if you get 20 spots to the west, that means you made it to California. But you don't just automatically win. You have to draw 1 card from each one of the decks, and then you have to resolve them. And you turn them over. You just put them in front of the wagon master, and that person turns each card over one by one. Like picks one, turns it over, you resolve it. Pick one, turn it over, resolve it, then resolve the last one. If you succeed at those or survive them, then you've won. You made it to California, and you didn't starve, you didn't die, and you managed to make it. And then, yay, everybody clap and everything like that. If you care, you do score points. 2 points for every uninjured, unbroke, untorn off body part, and 1 point for injured parts if you are a completely unburdened person. If you're a level 1 burden person, you get 1 point for uninjured, unbroke, or untore off body parts, and nothing for things that have been injured. And if you're one of the double burden people, you don't earn any points. You can see who, like, I guess was the best person to win, but what we've done is we've totaled up the number of points, and we see how well we do, and then the next time we play, we try to do better. So there you go. That's how to play Westerly. It's got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things I really like. I like the encounter cards. I like the variants of that. I like all the items, and I like all the the rules are fairly straightforward and fairly simple, but it's a difficult game. It's a game that doesn't really pull any punches, and it's well, it's just a lot of fun. So, but let me get more into that when I tell you exactly what I think of Westerly. Okay. You know how to play Westerly, or you have a good idea, I guess, of how to play a game of Westerly. The one thing that stinks when I do like the whole gameplay thing and I show you how to play the game, the one thing that stinks about when I do that is that I can never really accurately portray what it feels like, I guess, to play the game. The actual rule set for Westerly is not difficult. It doesn't really, I don't know, bring anything incredibly new to the table. And I don't mean that as a negative, I mean at all. So I mean, I know some of you are going to be saying, oh geez, it's like, well, that sounds like it's horrible. All games have to be innovative and have new, great, wonderful things. And it's like, but the mechanics, okay, fine, not a lot of great, wonderful new things. I mean, we've all played games, or I think we've all heard of games, where you're playing games with target numbers with dice. Where you're rolling and you need certain numbers, and then you get a certain number of those numbers and whatever. And like, the resource allocation and things like that. As far as, having to decide how many of those stats you're going to use, the whole process of laying out the tiles, tile laying games, and even like the river crossing, which is, dexterity, obviously. The whole process of that is very, I don't want to say like common, but I mean, we've all played games that have those distinctions in them. I guess if you've never played a game ever in your entire life, you stumbled upon this video and you decided you want to buy this game, then maybe you haven't. But I'm guessing that the vast majority of people that are going to watch this video have played designer games at some point or other. But what makes Westerly a lot of fun, and I alluded to this in my introduction, is the fact that it's strangely whimsical in its storytelling aspect, but it has a wonderful almost satire, almost like I said, gallows humor aspect to it. As you lots of other games I've played that are cooperative, the game has its way with you and beats you down as the game goes along. But I've never had a game where I've been like beaten down so bad when I'm playing this, as it's just absolutely hilarious as you're playing it, because of all just the crazy calamities that can occur to you. I mean, nothing is more satisfying to me that like the one guy that is going to that has like been unscathed for like a vast majority of the trip, and all of a sudden wolves attack the caravan or the wagon, and he's the one unlucky soul that you roll the die and his head gets ripped off. And so you have this wonderful image of this character having like, as he's like fighting off the wolves, shooting, and this wolf comes up and just chews his head, rips it off, and runs off with it. And and yes, okay, that's really gruesome and really horrific in a certain amount of way, but the game doesn't. This isn't grim, gritty reality. This isn't, you're not watching Cormac McCarthy's The Road or anything like that. You're not steeped in how literally how bad it was probably to travel. You're kind of just having a good laugh the entire way along. And the thing is that once we kind of got used to the game, we got a little. The first couple times we played it, the game beat us. We lost. People died. Illnesses suck in this game. Let me tell you that much. But we died, or we just not enough of us had the right skill set or the right equipment, and we just never made it the 20 spaces. And I appreciate that about the game. I appreciate the fact that the game did just knock us down and beat us to a pulp. And it made us come back for more. Because one thing, and I've watched some of these videos, one thing I don't like about cooperative games is me winning right away. I don't want to win the first time I play the game. It should beat me. And now after we played it a few times, the game has gotten a little easier just because you kind of know what's going on. But there's so many different encounters, there's so many different characters you can play, and the characters are awesome. I mean, I know I only showed you a few of them, but I mean, the character deck is thick. There's tons of characters in here, and plus when you get to the people with the burdens, you know, the ones that like suck, or like the double burden people, you know, like the paralyzed guy, the guy paralyzed from the neck down, you know, old Gummy Jasper. I mean, why would you even have this guy in your wagon train? But it's hilarious. And when somebody has to take that guy and play him, you know, it's just like, well, I can't do anything, you know. And then like, but he's the perfect guy to be like, you know, thrown to the bandits, if you will, if you need to make it. So I mean, there's tons of like awesome little choices and things that happen in the game that make a great story from the moment you set out to the moment you theoretically make it to California. Yes, there's a scoring process in the game, and yes, you can see how well you did, and you can compare that to like other attempts that you have, but that really doesn't even matter. I mean, it's the whole story. What was the best part of Oregon Trail? If somebody died, you got to put their name on a tombstone, and then later on when you played the game, you'd see that tombstone, and so you remember. It's like, oh yeah, I remember when that guy got shot by the bandits, or oh yeah, I remember when that guy died of dysentery, you know. And you'd have that like chuckle to yourself because you probably gave it one of your friends' names or whatever, and you see it. And it's the same thing. It's like, this is one of those games that my friends and I, we found ourselves acting out the actions that are happening. We're like laughing at our dismal luck, and then especially if it all happens to one person, that's always really fun. And when like the really bad catastrophes happen, that's kind of when the game is we're having the most fun. And trust me, you know, even though when the bad things happen, yes, that's fun, but when you do succeed and you pull off, like, you know, it's like you need 2 6s with these 2 dice, you know, and you roll them and you get boxcars. That's a great feeling, and that's when you start cheering, you're high-fiving your friends. And the bottom line is, after you get done playing the game, you've had fun. And isn't that exactly why you're playing games? I mean, to have fun and to enjoy them with your family and friends. And that's what Westerly does. It takes, you know, about an hour to play, maybe an hour and a half, if it's the first time you play. But after you get done, you'll be laughing about it. And then the next time you bust it out, you'll be telling stories about that last time you played, and you'll be laughing about it. And yeah, I mean, the game is just, it fits that fun niche. It isn't too easy, it isn't too hard, but like, it's the story. It isn't, like I said, it isn't about the final score. It's each step of the way and what the game tells you. And if you don't have a sense of humor and you can't enjoy the game for what it is, you know, it's like I said, the kind of the gallows humor that it has, you're probably not going to like it. But if you like co-op games, if you like games with lots of dice, if you like games with a little bit of dexterity action with the rivers, and also you can handle just trying to manage chaos, which is what this game basically is. I definitely think this game is going to be for you. So there you go. Westerly, like I said, it's going to be in Kickstarter very soon if it isn't already. If you have any questions for me about the gameplay, go ahead and post those, and I will answer those to the best of my ability. And I'm sure that the designer of the game will be happy to pipe in and comment as well. So yeah, thank you very much as always for taking the time to watch this thing that I do. And until next time, this was Undead Viking, and you have yourself an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye now.